Hello, I'm Derek Smalls, and you're watching, or listening, or both, to Rock Shop Live with Eric Broadbent. He's the bent broad.
You're watching Rock Shop Live, brought to you by Stewart Travel Guitars. See the incredible stowaway travel guitar at stewartguitars.com. Microphones for Rock Shop Live are provided by Rode Microphones. Now, for Music Gear Network, here's your host, guitarist Eric Broadbent.
Hey everyone, happy Friday to you all. Welcome to the weekend and to another edition of Rock Shop. We are live and continuing a bit of a discussion over the past month or so with discussions with actors and producers, writers, composers from the Breaking Bad universe, everything from obviously Breaking Bad to Better Call Saul, El Camino movie. We're doing the same thing tonight. We're joined by everyone's favorite actor slash musician. You know him as Skinny Pete from both Breaking Bad and El Camino, actor Charles Baker. Charles, it is wonderful to have you here this evening. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. Eric, how are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. And I know you're going to be sharing some really fun news with us in a little tiny bit here. And I kind of teased it up a little bit on Twitter and also in the chat saying there's something exciting news. And whenever that happens, we'll talk about that. And it's kind of a world exclusive from the Breaking Bad universe. For people that are your big fans, they'll be excited for sure. So it's nice to have you here.
Thank you.
How is, like, with this pandemic thing that we've been facing here? Obviously, it's been putting a hold on acting and filming and all that kind of thing. But what have you been doing yourself as an actor and maybe as a dad? All those things to keep yourself busy and going insane at the same time as well too.
Okay, well, I think you're overestimating the amount of saneness I had before this all started.
There you go.
That's that. It's just not even like an issue keeping that together.
Okay.
My wife and I had been saving for most of our marriage to buy a house, and we managed to get a small down payment last August to buy a pretty beat up mid-century modern little fixer-upper in the valley in Los Angeles, in a little town called Mission Hills.
Okay.
And really, I didn't think I would have the time to do all the work that needed to be done, and here I am, still putting away. So I have more than enough to keep me busy right now. If I only, I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to afford it, but I'm mostly just keep working around the house and doing stuff that I can do, and trying to keep the roof from falling in. It's really, I've never owned a house. It's a really interesting experience owning a house, and it's got a learning curve to it, and I'm still in the process of that. But also, in the middle of all of this, we decided to make a new addition to our family, and this is our newest addition. She's 6 weeks old, and we just got her about an hour ago. We haven't come up with a name yet. Might take some suggestions, but this is my big world premiere surprise. We got a puppy, and she's really sleepy because she's been kind of like exploring the house right now. So I'm gonna let her go back into her nap. But welcome the new puppy.
Adorable.
And thank you.
Awesome.
Love you, honey.
I'm glad everything went well because Charles and I were talking throughout the day today, and we were going to do a test call earlier, and they weren't sure the timing of this meeting to go look at possibly getting a new pup, and everything worked out. I'm really happy for you and the kids. I mean, you know what kids, you bring a puppy home and they're just like you're the greatest dad in the world now, right? That's awesome.
Yeah, I got some good dad points for that one. When we started working on it last night, actually, we found out about this puppy's availability, and when we found out, I told the kids, "Hey, got a surprise for you, but just forget I said that. It'll be later." And they were like, "What? What?" I'm like, "No, don't worry about it." And we kept it very secret, which is very hard to do with my kids.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty big surprise when we walked in the door with a new puppy. And our dog, Mr. Keaton, who's like 4 years old, was also very surprised and excited, and is is very anxious to get to know his new sister. So it'll be fun.
That's great. You strike me as a dad. Like I think we're probably very close in age. I could be older than you. I don't know. I'm 52 this year, but you
A little bit.
Yeah, you strike me as a little bit like me, where I become a parent early, and I almost like to ruin surprises, but I don't. If that makes any sense, so I'm like, I got a surprise for you. I want to tell you, but you can't, right? Yeah,
it's really hard. It's really difficult to not like give it away before Christmas and birthdays. It's just so. But yeah, I like the almost torture of like going, oh, I can't wait till you see what we got you, and them not having any clue what it is. I love watching them stew over that. I think it's a little bit of a revenge for all the stuff they unknowingly put us through.
I agree 100%. We're going to take a quick second. We're going to go and say hi to a bunch of awesome people over in the chat that are here to see you this evening. Scrolling back up here. Landshark Mark, one of our good friends, Mark Taylor, he's here. PaulSurraAZ, one of the regulars in the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul community, says, I swear you're the only first. Oh, he was talking about who is first in the chat. That's always good. There's always a first to be first. Let me see here. Who else we got? Ed B is jumping in. We've got, let me see here. Film Cynics is here. Karen0928. I'm excited to hear the news. So there we go. We've unveiled the news. Very exciting, obviously. Let me see here. Eamon Wise is here. Ursula Tomlinson, fabulous. Daniel Knight is here again. Howdy, everyone, he says. Let me see here. Who else are we missing? The party line is my beautiful Sandra Lee. She'll be sharing your links to all your social properties throughout the evening from, Twitter, Facebook, all those good properties, your IMDb profile, for you can see some of your backstory. And we'll be talking about some of that tonight as well, too. There's a few projects that you were involved in that I didn't know. And, sometimes a lot of people will probably have discovered you through the Breaking Bad or things of that nature. And it's so cool, just like discovering a really cool band. And you go back and look at their back catalogs, like, whoa, we'll be doing that tonight for sure as well, too. Dave Murphy is a good friend of mine from Line 6. Apparently, he's a friend of yours. He knows you.
Yeah. I'm pretty good friends with Rich Rankin, who was the product manager at Line 6.
Okay.
And who actually lives just like literally around the corner from me now. And so, yeah, it's a small world. And it really happened, it was a connection from a friend of mine who lives in Manchester, England. I needed someone to help me fix sound for a short film that I had made, and was having a problem working with Pro Tools and getting exported with the video program I was using. And I asked just randomly on the internet, and my friend in Manchester, England, replied and tagged a friend of his, and somehow he ended up knowing Rich, who, again, like I said, lives just around the corner. And Rich, he's a sound engineer and a bass player, and right now he's the general manager for I think James Tyler Guitars.
Okay.
Yeah. So hey,
small world.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a small world. It really is.
I'm glad he messaged me tonight, because he messaged me and he said, "Do you got Charles on Charlie, as he calls you? And do you like to go by Charlie? Is that what you're more common with?"
I prefer. Yeah. Now there's a really weird story behind that.
Go ahead.
Yeah,
let's talk about
Charlie. Unless you're writing the checks, then like my bank only recognizes Charles. But they don't have to worry about that. So yeah, Charlie. And like the short version is Claire Danes. I used to go by Charles all the time, and I worked with Claire Danes on a movie called Temple Grandin for HBO. And when we were introduced, I said, "Hi, I'm Charles," and she went, "Hi, Charlie," and I just went, "Well, now I like being called Charlie." And from then on, it's been kind of a learning curve, teaching my wife and friends and everybody around me. From then on, I was like, no, call me Charlie now. Like, why did you decide to go back to Charlie? Like Claire Danes. Yeah.
I kind of neat, because Charles can be like I'm Charles, and then Charlie's just kind of, right?
Charlie's a little more laid back.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
I'm trying for the more laid back version.
Let me see what else we got in the chat. So I mentioned Dave Murphy as well, too. There's a Guitar Man 45 says, hello, Charles Baker and everyone. Karen says, hey, hello from Annapolis, Maryland. Let me see here. Who else are we missing here? My son, Rod Bent. He goes by Rod Bent in the chat. Eric Jr., he's here. And we'll be talking a little bit. I got a little mention with him in the show coming up as well, too. Let me see here. Who else are we missing here? Guitar Man 45 says we just got a new puppy as well, called her Pebbles. Very nice, congratulations. Let me see here. Oh yeah, this is a good question. I scrolled back too far. Oh man, this was a Better Call Saul Breaking Bad reference here. I got to see if I can find it. I scrolled way too fast, and that'll be something that we'll be talking about. I know, because I've had to magnify my chat like massive because I'm half blind. Well, I'm not, but I mean, I have very poor vision, and I have to crank up the size of the font. I'm going to try to get it because it was a good one, and it's something that we had on the agenda for this evening as well too. Let me try to find it. Oh man, Gary Tholder is here. Says, "What's up, Eric and Charles? The puppy looks like a lily." Just saying. Oh, that's a nice name, Lily. That's a nice name.
That is a good name.
Yeah,
thank you.
Write that one
Lily
down.
of the Valley.
There you go. Yeah, I know that reference. Karen says, "I grew up taking piano lessons. Had no idea you're a pianist. Impressive. It takes a lot of talent to play the piano. I was very average." AZ's here saying a big fan. Brad Miller's jumping in. I'll try to get down to the bottom of the chat here. And this is going to be a hard name to pronounce. Wallow Victor Albuquerque. Love you, Charles. Let me see if I. Karen also says you've added so much to El Camino. Your character is always so fun. And I was playing El Camino again tonight just before the show, just to kind of listen to it in the background while I was working here to get ready for the show. And it's great. I love it to death. So let's touch base on Breaking Bad for a second. So the kind of the comic duo that you and Badger, Matt Jones kind of brought to the show. I'm sure I speak for everybody that, it was just intense to watch you guys together, and the work ethics that you guys had. And I think that was that one of his first roles, or you did a lot of commercials back then, Matt, didn't he?
Yeah. He had a lot more experience than I did.
Did he?
Yeah. Both, stage and filming.
Okay.
And a lot of times during the shooting of Breaking Bad, he was often working on another show, and so scenes where it's just Skinny Pete, they were originally written for both of us or just him, and I was available, but he was working on another show. But yeah, he's got a really good career. He did do a lot of commercials. Early on, and now he's like writing and directing shows. And
good for him.
I'm just amazed by his talent, really.
A lot of talent.
It's funny, people talk about me playing piano in that scene, and when I play the piano in the scene, he has the guitar, and he's just kind of like in real life, he's actually better on the guitar than I am on the piano.
No way.
But, the producers didn't want both of us to be musical prodigies.
Right. And
they already had the idea of me playing, but when he's a great singer and a great guitarist. And that's just like the way it is. I've seen him do musical improv, like an entire musical improvisation style, and was brilliant at it. But yeah, he's really good.
Yeah, I think Tom had told me that he plays, and obviously, yeah, he probably tuned the guitar completely out of tune just so he could bang on it and sound horrible. It was a double neck BC Rich. That was a pretty cool looking guitar as well too. Yeah. It
was a fun shoot. I loved doing that. I have an old, like, the only piano I play is was his grandfather when he was young. And it's been passed from him to my wife's parents, to my wife. And she didn't play piano, and so I'm the one that kind of claimed it. And I'm used to the weight and the feel of the keys, and that's all I've played really for 20 years. And when they asked me to play for that episode of Breaking Bad, and they told me it was going to be on a keyboard, I would actually go to Guitar Center and sneak into Guitar Center. No, not really sneak in. It was in Fort Worth, Texas. Nobody knew who I was. I would just walk into a Guitar Center and go into the keyboards and practice the whole song a couple of times on different keyboards so I could get the feel of playing on different keyboards, because it's a really different kind of thing on a keyboard.
Sure.
And so when we were shooting the scene, they brought out one keyboard, and I can't remember the brand that they ended up using, but they brought out one keyboard, and I played it, and I was like, I can't do it on this one. It was really like light touch kind of keyboard, and I was like, this is like almost like a toy piano, like kids keyboard. I'm like, I can't really, I won't be able to play that right. And so, like, they had to like switch around and find another keyboard, and I got to test the keyboards just so we could like, okay, I can play this one. This one will work. It was fun.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I do know what you mean. I don't play piano, but I mean I play with some synth and things like that as well too. And like the Yamaha Clavinovas will have a weighted key and a hammer, real hammer action, whereas everything else is just like there's no real sensitivity. It's either on or off. There's no dynamic to it. But yeah, Tom Schnauz was telling us a little bit about that. I think he's telling me more off the air than on the air, but he was saying that it was back in one of the older episodes. I think it was one of the ones where there's Jesse and Badger and Skinny Pete. They're going to the the AA, the Narcotics Anonymous meetings, whatever, and they're kind of there almost at first just to try to sell product to the people who were trying to get recovered. But there must have been a scene there, whatever, when you guys kind of took five, whatever, and there's a real piano there and you're playing, and they heard that, and then and I know there's a little bit more to than that as well too, because you are so in depth when researching. When you go into a show, you research, okay, what are the producers like, and what do they want out of the actors, and you knew that they like to watch you, having a conversation, what you do off camera. They found out that so you started doing some music. And then, boom! It led to Thomas, into the show. That must have been pretty cool.
Yeah, it was really kind of like a kind of kismet kind of thing. It was really one of the writers told me directly that, like, yeah, we watch actors and try and incorporate their natural abilities and their talents into the show, and I was just out there trying to give them anything I could to give them a reason to keep me around and to let them know that I was more than just a skinny tattooed stoner guy, and that I have if I would have brought a unicycle and some balls, I would have juggled and rode around on the unicycle to get their attention. But it just so happened that there was a piano on the location where we were shooting those AA scenes, and Matt Jones literally he was playing before I was, and he was tinkering pretty well. And then he stepped away, and then I sat down and started playing, and that's when I think he might have been playing, and somebody went, "Someone's playing piano," and then he stepped and walked away and came back, and there's me sitting at the piano tinkering again, and I wasn't sure that was what actually clued them in. Mm-hmm. I mean, I knew that kind of clued them in that I could play, but it was a little while before they called and asked me, "Hey, would you be comfortable playing?" And I went, hell yeah. I will play, I will sing, I will tap dance, whatever you want, give it. And they said, no, slow down, just play something. Yeah. And they said, what songs can you play? And I sent them a list of a few of the classical pieces that I have memorized. And they immediately came back with Solfeggiato, play that one. And I went, cool. And then I realized that I hadn't played it all the way through. When I learned it the first time, I learned it by watching a friend of mine play. Okay. And I was so fascinated by the way the hand cross, and it's just that beautiful, I was mesmerized by it. And so I learned how to play it because of her. And when I learned how to play it, I didn't read music very well. And so I skipped over a small section of it. And kind of made my own ending, and ta-da, and it became a truncated version of Solfeggiato. And when I got the script, it said that I played the whole song. Oh. And it doesn't always come out the way the script says, and I know that. But it said that you hear the music playing before you see me, and then I finish the song, and you pan up and you see it's me. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, I got to learn how to play this whole song, and I got to do it well. Mm-hmm. And so luckily they gave me enough time, I guess about a month in advance notice, and I literally practiced 3 hours a day. First I went and I got the music and learned the part that I had skipped over. Okay. And plus I had learned the correct fingering, because I had originally taught myself, I was kind of lazy with fingering. I'd only had one real piano lesson in my life. Wow. And I was really lazy with how to place finger placement, and I would a lot of times just do weird jumps for no reason. Yeah, unnecessary. And I knew they were going to be seeing my hands, and I was like, okay, I should learn proper fingering for this song, and I should learn all of it. And so I practiced every day. And I actually have, my wife has a video where I have my son, who's probably like 3 or 4 months old, in a baby harness.
Yeah.
You know, one of those front carrying baby things. And he's in my lap as I'm practicing the song, and I'm rocking him to sleep while I'm doing that. And that's
awesome.
like literally how I took care of him, was practicing solfeggiato. I got to a point where my family was like tired of hearing the song.
Sure.
But 2, now if I even start playing it, my son, who was just an infant then, he's 8 years old now. If I start playing it, he will sing the whole song. Just no. I'm like, cool. He knows that song.
Well, it's got like a lullaby to him now. It was like a lullaby back in the day.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I understand too, watching a couple other interviews with you as well too, you were kind of bummed because one of the hardest parts and one of the best parts wasn't even included. I guess maybe that's like in an outtake or a DVD reel or something of that nature. But it's one of the best parts of the performance kind of didn't make it to the scene.
Yeah. Well, when we shot it, they said, okay, start. And I started the song, and then they went cut. And I went, I still have like way more songs.
Yeah. And that's it. Yeah.
Like, no, that's all we need. And I was like, oh man, I should have picked that really hard part that I'd skipped, because I got really good at that. If they were just going to come in anywhere, I picked the wrong spot. But for continuity, I was like, okay, this is what we went with, so this is what I'm going to keep doing. And so we did that a couple of times, and I'm thrilled that it really changed kind of the dynamic of Skinny Pete's character.
Oh yeah, it did for sure. A whole new perspective. And you know, what's funny too is the fact that, you know, if people watch that, and they watch, especially with Matt playing guitar as well too, you know, if Matt says, oh yeah, I'm a guitar player, and if someone sees him playing in Breaking Bad, they're gonna say, you're a guitar player, and they judge him on that. So don't judge Matt Jones on that scene, you know, for sure. But that's such a cool
never
thing.
Underestimate Matt Jones, man. No one expects what he can bring, man.
Yeah,
really. I love those guys so much. It's like, and we don't like hang out much when we're not on set, but when we're on set, they're closer to me than I was with my brothers. So
wow,
they're pretty awesome dudes.
That is awesome. And if you look at every silver lining in every cloud, I mean, so you didn't get to play the whole song, but you worked your butt off for quite some time, and you kind of really refined your skills. So that's a good thing too.
Yeah, it also inspired me to like go further. I've never really said this a lot, but when I was 18, my oldest brother introduced me to this new age pianist named George Winston. And my oldest brother, he passed away about 8 years ago.
Sorry to hear that.
But he was like, he came out here to LA to be an actor when I was a little kid, and didn't do too well, and had to come back to Texas. But he did theater in Fort Worth. And then he came out here, and he actually, at one point, he was in the studio with George Winston when he recorded his album called December, which is one of, and my brother gave me a copy, and it was an amazing album. And I've listened to that since I was 18 years old, and always, because I have a horrible inferiority complex. I mean, it's not a very good one, but it's an inferiority complex. And I was like, I'll never be able to play like that. Like, that's just that. I mean, that some of the songs I assumed that he had other people playing along, and that, you know, it was like him and somebody else accompanying with him. But it was then, like, after I did that episode, and it occurred to me, wow, people kind of expect me to be kind of a pianist. I actually tried to play a George Winston song, and to my surprise, mostly because I knew it so well, and that goes back to how I learned how to play music. I was able to play a George Winston song, and so then I grabbed another one, and I learned another one. And I'm 45 years old, and I started like relearning how to play piano. And that was pretty awesome.
That is. And you're never too old, right? Never too old to pick up an instrument. That's like people that watch our show. Sometimes people will say, oh, I'd love to learn how to play guitar. Well, I'm 45 years old, I'm 50 years old, whatever. I've never played a guitar. You're never too old. Get one and just have some fun with it. Even if it's just, you know, strumming 3 chords around the campfire with an acoustic guitar or something like that. You know, it's a nice little break from, the world, and just have some fun with some music. A few other nice comments in the chat as well too. No, I know I'm going to pronounce his name wrong, and I totally apologize. It's being texted to me through Sandra, so I don't get the accent aigus and whatever, like the little symbols on the name. Joa, or I know I'm saying it wrong, says, Charlie, say hello. He's saying hello from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Nice to have you joining in, and hope everyone's safe over there. I know they're experiencing a heavy, rash of the virus over there right now. Let me see here. Karen asks, how often do you get, and you kind of talked about this, you going into Texas where they didn't recognize you so much. She asks, how often do you get recognized for your Breaking Bad character?
Not as often as you'd think. One, I don't go out much. I'm like, I love my family. My wife loves to cook. Mm-hmm. She's actually the one with a real job. But she loves to cook, and that's like her other thing. And so we don't go out a lot. And so I'm not out trying to get noticed, I guess. Right. But I really, unless I have that beanie on, I don't think in person I look too much like Skinny Pete. And quite frankly, usually I wear my glasses when I'm walking around, just because that's even more of a disguise, and it's almost, Clark Kent, Superman kind of thing. It's like I take off the glasses, put on the beanie, and you're like, oh my God, where'd Charlie go?
Totally gone. Well, even in El Camino, like I said, I just watched it tonight, and obviously you came into the show very, very early in the first, 5 minutes of it. And when Skinny Pete takes off the beanie and passes it to Jesse to kind of, you might look a little bit less inconspicuous, whatever. And even there, for that, even the character does look different. It's amazing how just that one little piece of wardrobe can really complete the person.
Yeah. Well, nobody had ever seen Skinny Pete without that hat on, or without a hat on.
Yeah.
And even when we were shooting episodes, if the hat were to come off in a scene, they would go, stop, let's do it again. Don't ever want to see him. And that was apparently like a Vince Gilligan kind of, we never want to see him without the hat, because I look totally different.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I love that. That's always been my goal as an actor, is to be a chameleon, and for people to not recognize, it's a double-edged sword. It's like, one, well, now everyone thinks that I was just that character, and doesn't know that I came from Shakespeare and theater, and mostly doing comedy and slapstick kind of stuff. So that was kind of like, oh darn, nobody knows who I am. But at the same time, I'm very proud. When I did theater, my wife and I met on a stage in Fort Worth, Texas, called the Hip Pocket Theater. Mm-hmm. It's an outdoor summer stock kind of place. And when I would do a show and then go get out of makeup and put on my clothes and walk out to the audience waiting for the cast, and they would ask me directly, hey, where's the guy who played the main character?
Wow.
And I would kind of like, well, that was me. And they go, no, the guy with the glasses and the mustache and the teeth. And I'd be like, that was me, really. And I loved that, and that's what I still love to do. So
you met your wife through theater too, right?
I'm sorry?
Didn't you meet your wife through theater as well?
We met on stage at the Hip Pocket Theater. And we were both actually, she was at a rehearsal as a stage manager, and I was there just to watch as a spectator, to see. They had asked me to be in the show after this show that they were rehearsing, as part of their season. It was the second show of the season that they wanted me to play R. Crumb, the comic book writer.
Okay.
But they said, come out and check out our space, because it's kind of different. And it really is. It's like Neverland. Like this beautiful outdoor space out by a lake in Fort Worth that had a tree growing right in the middle of the stage with a tree house built into it. And,
wow.
I mean, it was just amazing, magical place. And so I was watching their rehearsals, and she was stage managing. Her and I had met because she had come to see shows that I had been around town. And she had seen like 3 different shows, because she knew people that were also in the shows. And those people went, hey, this is my friend Rachel, and we all kind of waved. But we never really met. And then we were at the Hip Pocket, and 2 people had not shown up for rehearsals that night. And Johnny Simons, the creative director and writer of most of the shows, was a very strict kind of guy and no nonsense kind of director. And he said, "Hey, I don't need a stage manager. I need a body on the stage. Do you want to be in the show?" He asked Rachel, and she said, "Yeah." And so she got up on stage, and he looked at me and said, "Look, I need another person. You want to be in this show too? It's just ensemble. It's not like the lead role or anything." And I went, "Yeah, I'd be glad to. That'd be fun." And so he put us both on stage next to each other, and he told her to get down on your knees and look at him like you love him. And she did. And 2 days later, we started dating. Our first date was episode 1 of Star Wars.
Oh, wow.
And that she was into that. I knew she was the one.
There you go. Keep her. Totally. Totally.
And so we got married on the same spot where we met. Actually, they let us use the theater, and we decorated the set. We had a stage manager for our wedding. Wow. And the director called it the biggest audience they had that season. So it was a pretty nice wedding, and it was really short, and it was a beautiful kind of thing. And my wife kept talking about she was going to cry the whole time. And then we were married by our best friend at the time. And she was going to cry the whole time. We got up there, and both of them were like cold as ice, and I was the only one bawling my eyes out. So yeah, it was a great moment.
That is an awesome story. So theater brought you together, and you're still together now, and heavily involved. That is really, really cool. Thank you for sharing that with us. One of our good regulars here and friends, Eamon Y, says, "Who was Charlie's favorite actor to work with on Breaking Bad?" Now, I know it's like asking which one is your favorite child, but I mean, there might have been some favorite things about maybe a specific character, a specific actor. Can you share with one of your favorites while working on Breaking Bad?
Like I said, it's like, who's your favorite? Working, Aaron and Brian were so similar, and I feel like Brian was mentoring Aaron, and so it felt to me like, they were really learning from each other and like pushing each other. And so having both of them there was one thing, but watching, and this goes for either of them, watching them work. I would often come and, like, when I wasn't in a scene, but they were holding me until the next scene, I would come and stand and watch the monitors and see how these guys did their job. And like, not just watching them act, but watching them ask questions, watching them fight for their characters, watching them, like, I learned everything I could from that, and seeing that they were like actors. They were like Olivier would say, why not try acting? They could literally jump from standing there over a dying body with a tear rolling down their eye to cut and, "Hey, anybody want to go out and get some drinks later?" And then to action and back to tear rolling down their eye. And that's amazing. I even watched them in a table read, and like just sitting at the table with the script in our face, probably the first time we've ever seen it. And they're showing real character and not just like kind of like, how do I say this line right? And right. Like, they were in it, and it was amazing to watch. And the fact that they could come in and out of it and didn't have to be like, no, I'm in character. Don't touch me. Don't talk to me for 12 hours until I'm done. Yeah. Like, I understand that process, and I understand some people need it. I would need lots of time if somebody said, "Hey, you need to cry."
Yeah, work on that.
I'd be like, "Give me some onions or something."
Yeah.
So like, I'm amazed at their abilities. And so, yeah. Aaron Cranston, that's the actor. Brian Paul.
There you go. Yeah, I've heard you speak very highly of Brian in a lot of interviews as well too, and that is amazing to be able to just turn that on and turn it off like that. It's something very amazing, and I could just picture you being like a sponge, just trying to absorb every little bit, and just absorbing all the knowledge that you can, almost like having a little notepad to write stuff down on. Here's another question here as well, too. A good question. Daniel says, is there a time, or if he says if there's time, did Charles work with Sharon Bialy and Sharon Thomas and the casting directors for Breaking Bad? Because obviously they work. I love their work, and obviously they work across the board with Walking Dead as well too. Another show I loved to death. Right. Did you work with them? And maybe this will lead into the question I had as well too. So we'll tie them together. How did that gig come about for you for the audition? And did you work with Sharon?
No, actually, I didn't meet Sharon until like way later at one of the premiere parties.
Okay.
She obviously knew who I was, but I was hired as a local hire out of Fort Worth, Texas. And we had a casting director, Sherry Rhodes, who had been in Fort Worth, Dallas area casting director, and had done some workshops. And then the Dallas-Fort Worth market kind of dried up, so she moved to New Mexico and set up shop there. But she kept contact with another casting director in Fort Worth, Texas, Tony Cobb Brock, in Dallas, Texas, actually. And when things came up in New Mexico that they needed local hire, a lot of times they would tape us in Texas, and Tony would tape us in Texas for Sherry, and then Sherry would then help us get the part or not at that point. And I knew her through, I think it was the miniseries, the prequel to Lonesome Dove called Comanche Moon, where and this is Sherry Rhodes, where I played the Monkey John, the young version of Monkey John in Comanche Moon. But she knew who I was, and so when Breaking Bad was auditioning, I was actually taking audition workshop classes from Tony Cobb Brock. And Tony had scripts of the pilot for Breaking Bad because she thought FX had turned it down and that it wasn't going to be made. And so she was using Breaking Bad as rehearsal practice material to teach actors how to audition. And so I had actually I practiced auditioning for almost every role in the show. And then one day we came into class and she said, "You won't believe this, that show got picked up by AMC."
Wow, major.
Like, wow. And I said, "I am going to be on that show." And she went, "Don't be stupid. It's a show about a high school kid and a high school teacher who do meth. You're too old to play a high school kid, and you aren't like old enough. You don't look like you could play a teacher." And I said, "But it's got to have druggies in it. It's got to have." And she was, well, we'll see,
Yeah.
And little did we know that they were going to send in an audition for three stoners, really. It was a chubby stoner, a skinny stoner, and a tattooed stoner.
Yeah.
And then I did the audition for the skinny stoner, but I wore Skinny Pete's outfit, everything but the hat. And I walked into the audition the first time and did the skinny stoner. And then a few days later, we get a call back with a new script. And the script has cut out one of the stoners and combined his lines into skinny tattooed stoner.
Okay.
And I was like, I got tattoos. I'm pretty skinny. I think I have a chance at this. And so I went in and auditioned for the skinny tattooed stoner for the callback and got the part. And it was just for like 4 lines in one episode. And I went in there as a stoner, and I played up the stoner part. And the director I said, "Hey, why don't you tone that back a little bit?" And then I just met Rodney Rush, and like he's a local New Mexico actor, but he's a local New Mexican, Albuquerque. And so I started picking up on his dialect a little bit and trying to absorb that before we got rolling too hard. And I kind of just threw together this character. I mean, it was one episode, that'd be okay.
Yeah.
I just kind of threw it together because I went in there just I'm just going to be stoned. And they're like, "No, don't be so stoned. Just play it oh God, all right, okay." And then when they called back after that episode, I was like, I had hoped, you always hope, well, maybe they might bring me back.
Mm-hmm.
I was a friend of a character and I didn't die or go to prison. So there's always a chance there I could fill in for somebody or something.
Yeah. And
I didn't know what was happening, but they did call me back and said, "Hey, we want you to do another episode. And it turned out in order to do that, I had to join the Screen Actors Guild.
Right.
I had not joined yet. And that was the show that was like, you must join, which incidentally was when I was in college. My college professor said, in Texas, if you're going to join the Screen Actors Guild, wait till you have to. And like, then it's like a badge of honor. And so I always considered that like a pretty good badge of honor.
Oh yeah.
But when I came back, I like had a panic attack because I was like, what did I do for that character? Like everything I'd prepared for the character got thrown away after the first rehearsal. So like I had made it up on set and I forgot what I made up because it was just going to be one episode.
Oh,
and
no.
What I did was I remembered the very last line that I had, or one of the bigger lines that I had in my first episode, which was, yo, man, my pops is a contractor. Maybe he could help you out. And I used that line as kind of like my primer. And I would, every time they'd say, okay, camera's rolling, I'd think in my head, oh, man, my contractor. All right, ready to go. And that's how I started off. And then as it progressed, different lines kind of became my primer, my trigger line. Eventually, yo, man, I'm slinging that volume and fast stacking Benjis. You know what I'm saying? I can't be all about like spelling and shit. That became like how I got into character. But also I always file a song as a kind of a character reference that I keep. And I had this song called Ganja Babe by, oh gosh, right now my brain just went away, but Michael Franti.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael Franti does a song called Ganja Babe, which is a song I would just like plug in my headphones and listen to just for real quick while we're getting ready to, and it just got me into the right
zone,
kind of like frame of mind. And it's music and that.
That it does. That'll do it for you for sure. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
My better half Sandra Lee here. She's asking, what made you decide to get into acting and also explore it for a living?
It kind of tumbled that way. I love entertaining people. I love being a performer. I thought when I went to college, I wanted to be a music teacher because I didn't think I'd been told most of my life that I didn't have what it takes to be an actual performer.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be silly. And I played violin when I was 4. I played ukulele when I was 6, 7.
Mm-hmm.
I taught myself piano. I taught myself guitar. I taught myself, I did play drums in a middle school marching band. I played trumpet for a little while. And then any instrument I pick up, I teach myself how to play. Man, I can't even remember where I was going with that, quite frankly.
That's good. No, but basically the inspiration to do it. I mean, that's what I think maybe you might have already answered when you said you were told your whole life that you can't do it. And when people do, oh man, when they tell you can't do something, that's when you do it.
Right. I think sometimes I tell people that, and thanks for reminding me, I tell people that I think I did it out of spite. I think I became successful at this out of spite. My dad beat me up. I almost broke my back when I told him this is what I wanted to do for a living when I was 13, 14 years old.
Wow.
He beat me so bad, I couldn't walk for a little while.
Ooh.
And he had me, he had an appointment for West Point set for me. He was a colonel in the Army. He was on the Joint Chiefs of Staff. He was the commander of the Berlin Brigade and was in charge of dismantling the Berlin Brigade when the Berlin Wall came down.
Wow.
That was his retirement ceremony. Pink Floyd played for my dad's retirement ceremony. He was a pretty like heavy into the military kind of guy. Mm-hmm. So he didn't like that I turned down a presidential appointment to West Point so that I could pretend for a living.
Yeah. Yeah.
It switched when my parents were divorced. My mom was a single mom. She was a teacher, substitute teacher, but she would put me in music classes or gymnastics classes or whatever she could, and he would put me in sports. And so I got kind of the best of both worlds, and then decided to use it. My powers for good instead of evil.
Well, there you go. And I think you made the right choice. Cause I mean, if you would have went to like a military school, you know, and things of that nature, is your heart wasn't in it. You would have hated it. I mean, I'm not saying for some people it's probably great, you know, people that want to go through that, but I mean, your heart wasn't in that, and you've got to do something that you love, and you're working your music into it as well too, and look where you are today. So that is absolutely fantastic. So let's talk about, because I'm just watching the hour here. We've got about 15 minutes left before the end of the show.
I'm sorry, I'll just.
Oh no! Listen, I would rather that. I would rather that. No, please don't apologize ever. I love guests that talk. But so there is a bit of time, quite some time between the wrap up of it's not Better Call Saul. Sorry, I was thinking about the Better Call Saul. I got to say this right now too. The people over in the Better Call Saul Facebook group, they're fantastic. I know some of them are here tonight. It's a massive Facebook group, one of the biggest. And they're very kind to me. What's that? Sorry?
Yo, bitches.
Awesome. They're very, very nice, and they're very accommodating to me posting over there. You know, I'm trying not to spam, but I'm sharing some of the content. They've been really enjoying the Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul stuff I've been sharing. But thank you to the Better Call Saul Facebook group. But some downtime between the series finale of Breaking Bad, which was phenomenal, and Junior and I we wrapped it up just the other night again. I think it's our 10th or 12th time through it. And I know you could probably say you can never watch it too much, but I think I'm going to just take a break for a bit. 12 times through a 5-season series it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And so I started watching El Camino again. And of course, I'm a major fan of Better Call Saul. But there's that time between. So anyways, you get a call from whoever. You can tell us about that in a moment. But number one, you probably were shocked to find out that there's a sequel or a movie being made. And then number two, that you're going to be in it and have a pretty pivotal role. Now, can you share your thoughts on that when you heard about it, and what your thoughts were about being included again?
You know the movie Elf? With Will Ferrell?
Love it.
When they tell him Santa's coming?
Yes.
He's like, Santa's coming! That explains it all. I was blown away. I mean, there's a certain endearment when a writer, a brilliant writer like Vince Gilligan says, "Hey, I wrote this thing, and knowing that you're going to be playing it, I wrote this for you." Oh my God. And he's incredible. Everything he does, I love, again, absorbing. I watch and absorb and try and learn from these people. I didn't have, I mentioned my parents, they weren't really there for me. So I learned by absorbing from other people. And watching him is just amazing. And I say if he would have called and said, "Hey, I need you to do a mayonnaise commercial," I would have been, "Hey, where do I go? Where would you like me to be?" Because I love working with smart people. I love working with talented people who care about what they produce and what they put out. So it was 7 Christmases all wrapped up into one when they called. And seriously, I will do whatever they call to do,
nice.
Anything, because I'm within limits. I should probably put some kind of limits on that. But I mean, I would love to work with them anytime. And when they called, I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and I jumped up and down from joy. And my wife and I cried. And
that's great.
And, all the things you do when you realize somebody actually appreciated your work, and somebody
of that nature,
somebody who mattered. And I don't mean that nobody matters, but somebody who can actually help progress your career like that. It's an amazing kind of thing, because it doesn't happen often.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely fantastic. I want to apologize too, but someone mentioning some comments. I was calling her Karen. It's Karina in the chat, so I apologize for the name. I'm so bad at that. So Karina, thank you for all your questions tonight.
Hey, Karina.
Yeah. And I guess the premiere was just off. I mean, if you want to talk about premieres, even Tom was talking about it, how cool it was. The El Camino premiere, and Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker was there. Did you get a chance to meet him?
No.
You didn't?
No, I didn't. I'm crippled with shyness and anxiety and inferiority, and I was shy to talk to the people I knew there, and I was kind of overwhelmed. Like it was like 2-3 blocks worth of press line and red carpet.
Yep.
That I'd never seen anything like it in my life. I'd never even heard of something like that in my life. And I showed up, and like it was all a blur to me. It was like weird flashbacks every now and then. Like I've seen some videos of me, and like the videos, I look terrified because I really was. I was not ready for this. Like I think that was the night I decided I think I need to start drinking maybe a little bit before I come to these, because I need something, because that was like full amp. I'm shy in real life. I don't know how to socialize very well. I try my hardest, and that makes it so much worse. And so I end up just being kind of a wallflower at most kind of events and things. And it's to have to be like in the spotlight and like, hey, hi.
It's tough, yeah.
It's like, oh. And I always feel like I'm playing a character who is doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not me. I'm just watching this guy make an ass of himself on his own, and that's just like that's the role he chose.
There you go.
But it's what it is. So like I try to be as me as I can be, and sometimes that works out pretty bad. Sometimes it works out okay, but not always. And it's I guess it's not. I learned it's not really for me to judge. I'm just gonna try and just be. And flail my way through it. It's like throwing spaghetti at a wall.
Yeah, I say that a lot too. Yeah,
whatever sticks. And
yeah, there's gonna be lots behind the stove.
I can keep supporting my family, and my new puppy.
Yeah, exactly. Here's a question for you as we get ready to wrap up in a few minutes here. It's something I never really knew the answer to. I had theories on it. So very nice to actually be included in the series finale as well too. I mean, what a finale. Skinny Pete and Badger are the hired trained assassin to threaten and intimidate Gretchen and Elliot. So at the end, Walter hands the last time Walter has pretty much contact with you guys, the actors. The characters, hands you each of the characters $100,000, I think it was. And then we fast forward to the start of El Camino. When Jesse comes to the house. Before even Jesse gets to the house, you're seeing Badger and Skinny Pete playing, some video games on the big screen TV and big massage type chairs, gaming chairs, whatever. I was just assuming it was that one of the first spends, with the windfall of cash that they got. Did you anticipate that's where some of that money went?
I think that was one of the next ones. I think the first thing they spent money on was copious amounts of weed.
Yeah.
And that gave them the idea to do the Star Trek chairs and the TV. But I think that's really all they spent their money on was the chairs and the TV, and of course the weed. But those chairs were amazing, weren't they?
Oh yeah, for sure.
I was really hoping like this would be a nice show gift. Like they were not very cheap to have made. They were custom made, and they had lights, they had speakers, they had automatic switches, they were Wi-Fi connected. I was like, I wouldn't be surprised if a little vacuum came out from underneath and vacuumed up around the place.
Pops out a beer.
Yeah, beer just like.
Well, I know you couldn't get. I know you couldn't get the chair because you couldn't even get the Skinny Pete's hat, could you?
No. I finally did get one, but it took
good.
a little while.
Yeah, a replica probably, right? Probably a replica.
Yeah. Well,
was it a real one?
Well, Jimmy Kimmel asked me to do a little sketch called Heat and Meat with Skinny Pete.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, absolutely. And I went, can you bring the hat? And I went, no. And I went, you didn't get a hat? And I'm like, no. And I went, okay, we'll have our crew make you one. And so they made like the best replica of the Skinny Pete's hat that I'd ever seen.
Oh, wow.
And so my wife made a little shadow box with all my little premiere tickets and little knickknacks and notes from Brian and Cranston and all these things.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's a cute little shadow box. I broke the glass on our move when we moved to this house. So it's a glassless shadow box, but it's all in place. But they had that, and the story was like when I asked, because I didn't feel comfortable just like taking a piece of costume. One, I knew they only had 2 versions of that hat for the entire series, and I had accidentally taken it home once, and they freaked out, and I brought it right back for my next episode, and it's here, don't worry. And so I don't feel like comfortable just like taking stuff that's not mine. I learned a lot of that comes out of the costumers, you know, their pocket, not the producers. You know, it's like I don't want to steal money from a crew member who's probably not making enough money as it is.
Yeah, I know. I hear you in that.
And so, like, I asked, and they went, "Oh, we're hanging on to this for the Smithsonian." And I'm like, "Never mind." Now, I told Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Gus, I told him that story at I think it was a Comic-Con somewhere where we were both doing a speaking engagement, and I told him that story. He said, "They'll tell you that all the time. Don't fall for that stuff. You're like, next time, just take it. Don't ask." And so it may have just been my naivety that left me without a hat, but it's all right. When we did El Camino, they didn't have the hat anymore. They had the other version of it. I know was auctioned off, and I really don't know where or if it's packed away or what. Yeah. But they didn't have access to it, and so they asked me, like, do you have a hat? And I was like, no. I'm a little bitter that you would ask that even, but I said that Jimmy Kimmel made a great one for us.
Oh, that's great.
For a sketch, and that's like, and so they came and actually looked at it and used it as a reference to make a bunch more copies.
Okay.
And for El Camino, because they knew Aaron Paul was going to be wearing one too, and quite frankly, his head is huge.
You'll love to hear that.
So we got. I knew they had extras after El Camino, and when they were wrapped, I kind of just went, "I got this one, thanks, guys," and left.
That's hilarious.
The only other thing I got, and I just destroyed my chair that I'm sitting on because I was on that, was this thing, the back of the chair.
Oh, nice.
And,
very nice.
Like, I was really excited about this because I was on a different, because I was from Texas, I was considered a local hire, and so I was actually a day player for 4 seasons. And then on season 5, they finally made me a member of the cast officially, and I got to have a seat. But this didn't come until the finale. And so they put it on the chair right before we went and did our last scene. I sat on it once. We did our scene. I picked it up and went home. And so it's my favorite knick-knack from
there you go.
Breaking Bad.
A nice memento. And you know what? I think Giancarlo might have been pulling your leg, because even talking to Thomas, Thomas, I mean, he don't get much higher up than Thomas and Vince and Peter Gould and stuff like that, as far as there's other great writers that I'm missing as well too. But even there's things that they don't have. They would love to have such and such. They don't even get to bring it home. So yeah, you're not alone there.
Yeah.
Just before we wrap up, we're gonna be wrapping up. Yeah. That's awesome though. You've got that, which is very cool. Yeah. Coming up next year, we'll have the 6th and final season of Better Call Saul, and these timelines are going to be pretty much, they're going to be right catching up with one another. Would you yourself, and I'm certainly not asking you for intel and inside information here, and you probably don't even know at this point anyways, but even if you do, I'm not asking for an answer, but would you like, as a fan of the Breaking Bad universe, would you love to see Skinny Pete and Badger make an appearance somehow? Because I could see that happening.
I don't know. I was watching Tom talk to you last week, and what he said made like so much sense. I mean, like I've loved Vince's integrity from the beginning when he said, "I only want to do a set amount of seasons. I don't want to try and drag this out and jump the shark." I knowing like that kind of integrity, it made it like. I don't want to ruin that just for the sake of something kitschy and just for fan service. If it served the show and served the story, I would be there in a heartbeat. But if it was just a gimmick that they were using to try and get some extra viewers, I would. They know I wouldn't respect that, and they wouldn't respect themselves for doing that.
It has to serve the story.
I love that about them. And like, it's one of the, like, you have to kill your babies sometimes. You have to, like, I literally have been pitching myself for Better Call Saul as a different character.
Yeah.
I want to play, I would love to play Skinny Pete's dad. And I pitched the idea because I have a son who's actually Skinny Pete's age, who could sit in the background out of focus with the beanie on, and you'd never know it wasn't actually Skinny Pete standing behind me while I was playing his dad.
Wow.
And I thought that would be brilliant. And I actually sent that to Tom, and he was like, that's an awesome idea. But I mean, I know the reality of it. Like, if they can use it, they will use it if it serves the story in a great way. But if they doesn't, damn, please don't.
Yeah, not just fan service. Yeah, that's one thing they're good for not just doing fan service. Yeah.
Yeah. So I would be there if it really served the greater good. I would be there in a heartbeat.
Love that.
If they wanted me to come and just hold some lights for them on the side, I would do that too, just so I could hang out with the crew.
Yeah, I know, right? Guys. Yeah, I'd catch up with them for sure.
I literally lose a job right now. So.
Yeah, I know. I can imagine. It's tough for everybody for sure. A super chat from Metalhead Hippie. He says, ask Charlie what's the dumbest thing he's ever did while stoned, and how high is too high?
If I was that stoned, I don't think I'd be able to remember.
There you go.
And I don't know how high too high is either. Gallagher, the comedian, he taught me a long time, don't smoke dope when you're stoned. You don't get any higher, and you just end up wasting.
Yeah, waste, right?
And like, I learned from the old school, the hippies. Like, there's no need to really like go too stoned.
No, exactly. There you go.
Okay. The stupidest thing I've ever done stoned was going to a sushi restaurant, ordering my food, and then pulling out chopsticks and holding there at the ready until they brought my food. And like, it took me a while to realize everyone was staring at me. Oh yeah, okay, I'm gonna wait. And so there you go. That's the stupidest thing I can think of that I did.
Okay, well, that's
just
good.
Like food for like 10 minutes before I realized.
Oh man, we're just the spirit.
It was just one of those bad times. Like,
oh, that's crazy. That's a good one though too. That's definitely the one to remember. As we wrap up here, I'm going to share something with you. I'll send you an email about this later on too. Just a little plug for my son. He's only 14, but he's a very accomplished musician as well too. He's doing a live VR concert on YouTube on July 25th. It's very cool. I got to see his visuals for it last night. He's composed all the music and doing all the visuals himself as well too. He stole my computer for 3 days. I couldn't even access it. But I'll share that with you. I know you'll appreciate it. But listen, it's been an absolute pleasure having you here this evening. Congratulations once again on the new arrival to the family. And I wish you and your family a fantastic and safe weekend. And we'll keep in touch and maybe touch base with you throughout the year and see what's happening. And hopefully some new gigs coming up for you as well. Is there anything just as we wrap up, any post-production things that you're working on or things that are coming up we can see you in?
Well, they just started Perry Mason on HBO. I have a little bitty tiny part in the beginning of that series, and that was pretty much the last thing I've worked on since this whole pandemic started. So I really am just doing family stuff. I have a Spotify. I have a few songs on Spotify for an album that I recorded, which is a soundtrack for a book.
Oh, really?
It's really interesting. It's the gentleman from Manchester I mentioned who introduced me to the Line 6 crew. He wrote a book about a singer-songwriter and asked me to put the songs that were in the book, the lyrics that were part of the story, to music. And then we put a few other songs that he had written also to music and just put it out as a soundtrack to accompany his book called Peach.
Okay.
And so the character writes songs for other musicians. And so it was supposed to be kind of an eclectic mix of music for different types of singers and different types of musicians. And so I kind of did it as a character playing characters.
Nice.
And it's but one of the songs is actually one of my own. It's called Cry. And it's one that I wrote many, many years ago for whatever reasons. And we just decided, well, let's just put that on there too. And a friend of mine named Alec Maluski, who has some great YouTube videos of some cover songs that he did, and he just released his first album. He played bass and helped me mix the whole album together. And I came out for an experimental thing that was put together by a guy who writes about Manchester United football team and an actor who plays a skinny drug addict. I think it came out okay.
We do me a favor over the weekend. I'm not going to ask you to do this right after the show because I know you want to go hang with the kids and play with the pup. Can you email me a link to the Spotify, and I'll add it not only to the video description here too, but I'll share it with our network as well too. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think it's actually the link on my Instagram, the Charles Baker.
Okay, I'll grab it there.
If you're on my profile, that will take you directly to that link. That's the shorthand version of that email.
Okay, I'll grab that. That's easiest because I've got you on all the platforms as well too. That's good. Well, listen, we're going to say goodbye to everybody. We're also going to talk to another Pete this Sunday at 3 p.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. Pacific. One of everybody's favorite guitar players out there, Pete Thorne, is joining us to talk all things Line 6 Helix. But Charlie, I'll say goodbye to you off the air here in a second. So everyone have a safe and fun weekend, and we'll see you again over on Sunday, and we'll go from there. Everyone, till next time, cheers.
Hey, you're still here? Eric Jr. here, reminding you to check out our full lineup of quality merch. Available right now in the Broadstash Boutique. Quality products and fast shipping. Visit broadstash.com today.
Video production services for Rock Shop Live are provided by Design 39 Media. Visit design39media.com for all your website, photography, and video production needs. Microphones for Rock Shop Live are provided by Rode Microphones.